Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, aka Tyler. No, Wrecker of Days. Dang it. I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Wrecker of Days, aka Tyler.
There you go.
Episode 215 of Forever Exiled. Here we are doing this thing. Big shout out to our Patrons. Thank you, Christina, for joining up this week, and everybody else who resubbed. We love your faces. Patreon gets access to After Dark. It is our podcast, After the Podcast, where you never know what you're going to get. The chair's buggy, mate.
I can tell. Your camera's been nonstop shaking since you started.
You know how, like, so, I don't know if you have this issue, but sometimes like one of the legs of the feet butts up against something, because I keep the racing like wheel set up here and it's got a big frame, and sometimes one of the 5 legs of the chair bumps it, and I not having it, Ty. Not having it. But yeah, thanks,
sounds rough.
We love you.
Yeah, and thanks, Christina, for joining.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Christina ever gets weirded out when we, talk about your wife. It's like sometimes when you're zoning out and you're listening to a podcast, and then you realize you didn't. It's all the time. But then it's like you're not you kind of forget you're listening, and then all of a sudden you hear your name again. It's like, oh, and then you rewind a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if it ever gets awkward, when we're talking about our wives.
I assume if my name is ever said anywhere, it's about me.
100%. Right. There's one Justin out there.
That's right. What I see, you have a note here. What is this?
Well, yes. So I thought it was November 25th, but Bex tweeted a year or two ago on the 27th of November. So not sure which dates. I should have looked this up.
We're right. Go ahead. She doesn't even work there anymore.
What does she know? What does she know? November 25th, 2006, GGG was incorporated.
Cool.
That's almost 20 years ago.
20, and then it came out in 2013, I think, the official release, right? God, GGG, so slow.
Yeah. You three guys really needed to pick up the pace.
Honestly.
So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, pretty neat. The 25th or the 27th, GGG was incorporated. I'm going to look that up quick.
Well, you're
looking. You talk.
Okay. How was your week, Ty?
No, I can't.
Because you have to look that up. I'm sure it's on the wiki. On the wiki. Just check the wiki. What are you looking for? What did you just type? What was your thing? When was GGG incorporated?
Don't message me on Discord.
That was not me. Freaky gotcha.
It says incorporated in 2006. I'm on Wikipedia, but it's not giving a day.
Well, that's fine. 2006 is fine.
I was probably quite amazing when I came up and found that day.
I feel like you were right.
All my sleuthing.
How was your week, Ty? Can we get into your week yet, or are you still sleuthing?
I'm still sleuthing. I love going to grindinggear.com. It's
like the old,
awesome.
Like their like really non-existent website.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, couldn't find it, so I'm right. Bex is not.
Correct.
And I had a good week. It was a normal week. I mean, it's quite cold now, right? Mm-hmm. It's frosty every morning.
Sunny though.
You gotta scrape the winds. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's springtime during the day, but in the evening it's winter.
Very cold. Yep.
So we're scraping our windows lots in the morning, but no, it's good. My daughter's been sick all week. She ended up getting pneumonia again. So
that sucks.
Yeah. So she's on amoxicillin and her puffers as usual, and so she missed half a week of school last week. She missed all week this week.
No, that sucks.
And that's how it goes. She's going back to school on Monday, no matter what.
That's right.
She's the kind of girl with her respiratory issues that she always has lingering coughs for at least a month anyway. So it's always going to sound like she shouldn't be going to school, but it's not like I can keep her out of school for a month. So she's not contagious, and she just got to get rid of the little bits, make sure that it's actually bacterial, not viral. The pneumonia, so she doesn't have to go in the hospital. So hopefully the amoxicillin kicks in. She has been sleeping better, so that's been nice. But the rest of the family's just been trucking through and having a good time.
That's good.
So yeah, and that's it, man. That's it. Remember, was it last week when I had a roofer come, or 2 weeks ago? We were recording, and then all of a sudden I left because I thought like somebody was trying to break in, but it was just somebody walking around on my roof.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently today, a roofer's coming today.
Ah.
I had a renovation construction company come by and give me some quotes for a few projects we want done, some of them more important than others. And he forgot to give me a quote on the roof. So I asked him yesterday, I'm like, hey, yeah, and just if you can, whenever you have a moment, the roof quote. So today I get the response, yeah, my guy's coming by today. pretending like he didn't forget.
We didn't forget.
Yeah, we're just
it was always planned right after you sent the text.
Right. So we're might be interrupted again by somebody else stomping around on the roof.
Sweet.
How about you? How was your week, man?
You know what? It was a good week. I had it was really busy. It was a lot of driving, which was not terrible, but yeah, it was a good week. I had a really nice text message from a friend, which was very kind of them, and you sent me one as well. So
I didn't even think it was me until you came out with the weird joke. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it was, you know what? It was a good.
I basically told Justin that I didn't hate him as much as I normally do.
Yeah. He was like, as much as
nice this last little bit. And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe one day I can see myself liking you.
Yeah. I think it was because I threatened to end the podcast and he was like, no, you know what?
I need.
It was a good week. There was, I'm trying to think if I did anything in particular that was of note. Well, Christina's taken off today, not Patreon Christina, but my wife Christina. And well, I can't say for sure. Maybe Patreon Christina, but
maybe they're buds.
Yeah, she's going away with a girlfriend for
maybe
the weekend.
It is your wife. Maybe she wants to hear.
Oh, no, she's not supposed to listen after dark.
I know, because you've been smack talking her like crazy. So maybe she's like, you know what? Something's up. I got to listen in on the little secrets.
Yeah, it's not like she could just hop on my computer and hear every episode ever. So yeah, they're taking off today. I don't delete any of our stuff. I have everything going back to episode uno.
That's garbage.
I do. I keep backup of everything, Ty.
Save your money. Get rid of it. Who cares?
I store it on my NAS that's in my garage, so it's not. It's fine. I don't keep like the original files. I just keep the edited versions. So they're not that big. But the only thing I don't keep is YouTube. Don't care.
YouTubers.
YouTube.
Lame.
Just kidding. We love you. Please don't say bad things.
That's hilarious. The first time we reverse our roles ever. Anyway, so your wife is going out with Christina and they're going where?
She's going with a girlfriend to the States. They're going to go shopping. They're going for a weekend to just no kids and hang out. And yeah, she also picked like a freaking Vegas weekend to go. I was like, I'm still watching it. Like, so we actually set I set it up so that because she watches it too. And so I set it up on her laptop so that she can hook it up to the TV at the cabin that they're staying at and still watch it down there. Cause you can watch it on multiple. You're not supposed to be allowed to with the F1 thing, but it does work. So yeah. So she's taking off. So it'll be me and the kids for the weekend. So yeah, it means pizza and McDonald's tonight. One of the two. I'll let my kid or Wendy's or something. They'll pick something. So yeah. And then I watched practice 1, which I've almost never done before. I never
I saw you join the spoiler chat group and everything.
I almost left right after too, because I was like, I don't know if I want to be in here. Also, it felt like there's nobody here because I typed and I'm like, maybe nobody watches practice, which makes sense. I've never watched practice before, but I was like, well, it's the first time in Vegas. I kind of want to watch it. It was over in 8 minutes, which was funny. Just because of
So tell me what happened. I barely saw highlights. There was a manhole cover on the street track
and a small manhole cover. It's not one of the like full size manhole covers that a human fits in. But yeah, so they weld them.
How did they notice? Yeah,
they weld them before the race, and they do this on all street tracks. They weld them before the race, but I guess just the force of the car going over. You know how there's all that pressure underneath the car. It actually pulled it out of the. Like its thing, like the weld didn't do anything because that's not the part that came out. The whole thing popped out under his car and, caused some damage to the bottom of his car. It was crazy. I've never
Whose car?
Carlos Sainz. So
of course it's Ferrari.
I know. And only three cars had done a time at that point. And it was weird on his wheel. It came up and just said engine. What did it say? Something about like stop now, engine off. That was the whole screen, and his car just came to a stop. And so obviously when there's that kind of damage, and then they want to make sure it's safe, so they ended FP1 after that. And which I was kind of like, well, that was a fun 8 minutes for me to watch. But I don't really care because it's practice 1. But holy, the drama of, I mean, I guess it's because it's such a big thing in Vegas. Like it's the first time there. It's obviously been a big, to do, and people are whatever up. And the sport is much bigger than it used to be. Man, the drama from some people is hilarious. Like, oh, it's the end F1. There's a black.
Are you just
stain.
talking like idiot fans?
Yeah, people online that I saw after that, like, oh, it's such a black stain on F1, and I was like, okay. I was looking because I was curious. It's not the first time even this has happened. Like, I saw a video from 2019 where Russell in Azerbaijan went over like a full size man, and the whole thing just goes whoosh, gets sucked up by the car, and his whole car just like boop, pops up off the ground, just like shatters the under of his Williams. But you know, leave it to us North Americans to just be like, just blow things away out of context.
People have died in the sport.
Yeah.
And the sport just got bigger.
Yeah.
And bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So
and no manhole cover's not going to do it. Vegas.
No. And what people get all worked up because they're like, oh, they canceled F. And so then what happened is FP2, their times, I have to say, their times in Vegas are very weird. Like FP1 was at 8 p.m. last night. Then FP2 was supposed to be at midnight. But because of this, it got postponed. And then it got postponed to 2 a.m. And then they eventually pushed it to 2:30. It eventually did go off at 2:30. They added an additional 30 minutes to
AM.
Yeah, which is crazy, right?
Man, those poor teams and drivers.
I know. There's like no break at all. And then they're doing it again tonight at 8:30. Like 8:30 is FP3, and then midnight is qualifying. So
goodness me, they're not going to have time to sleep. How are you going to sleep during the day?
I know, right? It's so weird in Vegas. Well, thankfully it's quiet there.
They're 350 kilometers an hour and they're like exhausted out of their minds.
Yeah. And so what happened though is at 1:30 a.m. for some reason, I'm not really sure, but the FIA or whoever makes these decisions told fans that they had to leave the stands. So at half an hour before when FP2 was supposed to start, which it didn't actually start till 2:30, they cited safety things and then told people that they were going to have to leave. So they cleared the stands for FP2, which then, oh my God, people just like.
What was the safety concern?
I'm not sure. I don't know what it was, but
it had nothing to do with the manhole cover. It
might have. I don't actually know, but they told fans that they were not going to be able to be there for FP2, which then gets people just like, you know, hopping and freaking out and getting so mad. And I saw one comment that made me laugh where this person was like, I could only afford to go for FP2 and now I can't go see it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. The only way that is true is you have to live in Vegas. If you only are going for FP2, you must be local. And you were like, well, I could afford to go for one event. FP2 is the one for sure. So you'd have to be local, because if not, and you were a human that flew to Las Vegas
from Tirana,
and I got a hotel,
go to FP. That's right.
And I could only go for FP2. You have some life decisions you should reconsider, because I don't believe you. So anyway,
you could have gone and gotten a cabin with your friend Christina and just had a good weekend.
You could have just chilled
for the same price,
and you should have. You'd have been happy. Anyway, it's just
they'll
funny.
Likely get a refund anyway.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, but people, I did scroll through social media for a little bit afterwards, just out of curiosity to see how people were going. Well, you know what? I just it shows me sometimes that what we see sometimes in the Path of Exile community is just human beings. It's just like they're just, sometimes people are dumb and they just let their emotions there. I think sometimes what happens is people see a keyboard or a camera and they're like, I got to say something. I just got to do it. I have to get it out. Like this one woman was like, well, they ended the race and now they're delaying the race and now we can't even do anything. And I was like, it is a practice. Nobody's watching. Nobody. You are when you're there, but nobody watches.
They don't even put FP1 on TSN. TSN that has the national rights for Canada for Formula One. They've had them forever. They only do F2 and then qualifying and the race. They don't. Of course, they do sprint stuff too, but they don't do FP1 or FP3.
Oh, interesting. I wonder why too.
It's the one where teams basically determine their setup. Sure. It's the most important one, because FP3 is normally right before qualifying. And so there's only minor tweaks that are made there. So FP2 is the big one, but it's still weird. I
watched the highlights of FP2 this morning before the kids went to school, and it was 90 minutes long and nobody died and nothing blew up. Ferraris are looking good, but it really sucks. I mean, this part I do feel bad, but I do understand. Signs, they had to replace 3 parts, like the engine, the something, and the something. There were 3.
They had to replace the engine. I wonder if that goes against their cap.
It does go against the cap, failure. Which sucks. Which that's rough, right? When the track, so because I saw an interview with the Ferrari head guy who just was not having it, and really, it's like putting a driver into an interview after they've crashed or something's gone wrong. Like, if you expect them to have a rational conversation with you, you're an idiot, because this dude just, you're talking millions of dollars into their cap, plus the fix, plus Sign's got a 10 grid penalty for those
because
of
his engine swap.
Yeah. And that does suck because it's because of, something that happened, not of his fault. It's not like he crashed, but I do understand, like, a rule is a rule. How could you, if they all of a sudden were like, well, let's take this opportunity because we're not going to get in trouble to replace something else, like, I can understand why they have to do it, but yeah. Anyway, also, I should just throw this out there so that I do get some lawn talk out. Raccoons are assholes. Raccoons destroyed my front yard. Destroyed. I treated for grubs, like 7 or 8 months ago, whenever I was having issues with it before this. I think it was right before the spring. And I don't know. I'm not sure what happened. I noticed a day or 2 before it happened to mine that my neighbors across the yard, they had a bunch of their area torn up. And I was like, oh, they must have
same
grubs.
Side of the street or across the street?
Across the street. And I was like, they must have grubs, like those dickhead raccoons got to it. And 2 days later, look outside. My whole I mean, you saw it, but it is, I was like, son of a mother effer. It's just, they completely beat the shit out of the one side of it. You're not allowed to kill them. And that's
the side that but you didn't end up reseeding, did you?
No, I didn't.
So it's not like you're ruining that money or anything like that you put into
it's just work now. It's just, now I got to do some work to actually like clean it up. And I messaged my guy who does the lawn stuff and I was like, is it too late to do, like, should I do anything with this? He's like, well, raccoons are about to go into hibernation anyway, so it's probably not going to make any difference if you treat it now. So, but yeah, you're not allowed to kill them.
Yeah.
That seems unfair. It's a raccoon.
I know, right?
There's some countries where you see videos of raccoons and you're like, wow, they're cute and nice. Man, they are assholes up here. I don't know what they're like in the States, but they are just turds.
Different breed, different species. They just look the same.
The other
people got the nice ones. We got the evil ones.
We got the gangs ones that like grow out their knives and they just go around hunting animals and ripping up grass.
Other people's raccoons are like, oh, sorry. This is a raccoon speaking. Yeah. I didn't mean to. My apologies. I'll go somewhere else. Come and cuddle. The one that on our raccoons, when you come outside and you look at them and they're like, that's right. There's like 50 of them around your garbage. They look at you and they're like, they're the gangster ones. They're like, motherfucker, what?
Yeah. They're like, you walk away. You're not scaring me.
All the other raccoons that aren't in the garbage yet, they all like, get their guns ready.
Yeah. You're like, hey, backing up. Sorry, it's your garbage. You do your thing.
You want me to turn off the motion sensor light for you?
Let me throw you some extra food. Yeah, anyway, so they destroyed my lawn. So that was my lawn talk for this week, just to fit in there with the F1, because that's how we do on this podcast. You never know what you're going to get. Today you got a whole bunch of F1 and a little bit of lawn.
That's right. Well, there you go. That's what happens when Justin watch practice.
Yeah,
watch practice.
Yeah, so
practice.
It was a good week overall. Really, really good for work, actually. It was a really busy week for work, but really fun. So, yeah. Cool. Let's go PoE. What do we have this week? This week in PoE?
PoE. Let's see. We had some concept stuff came out, like the concept art. There was some, I guess, more advertising or re-advertising for the digital comics that GGG has out.
They do?
And, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, they've had them for a while. You used to be able to, or maybe sometimes on occasion, you can still get them as physical purchases for some different packs that they've had in the past. They're only $4 American.
I mean,
they try and incorporate them. Yeah, I think they made a comic for each. I haven't looked into it. I think they made a lore comic for each character class. So cool. There's a shadow.
Oh, you can get like a MTX with them too if you, I mean, you're paying you're paying the full price for them,
but it's only $4 American if you just want the digital copy. But they were only, as far as I noticed, I wasn't going to get it, so I just kind of glanced through it, but it's the digital comic, it's not a physical comic. Either way, $4 for a digital one if you only cared about the lore.
Cool.
It's not that bad. Unless it's like 6 pages, then F you. It's $4 American. But hopefully it's more than that. Some Twitch highlights from the Blast from the Past event.
Oh, okay. Well, are they on an event right now? Is a new one starting?
The next one's just starting today, I think.
Cool.
Friday. And then there's some good ones in there. Baylor Mage was on there. And nice. He got hit with a nasty dot in his. It dropped fast. When you're looking at him or the gameplay and not his life, it looks like it's an instant hit. But then when it's a short clip, so when you replay it and you stare at the health bar, it's just a very quick digression all the way down.
Rewatching in person is so much more fun than the actual gameplay.
It is. Yeah. So he got hit with a nasty dot, but he finished the clip with a very sexy O face. He was just like, people can't see this, but it was just like total O face, total surprised. So
that's awesome.
Love it. Yep.
Cool.
No, that was good. And then let's see. That was it, except for the December expansion name reveal.
Oh, is that out? Wait, what? Is that out?
Yeah. You didn't see it. Okay. Well,
hold on. Let me look at your notes. Sorry. Name reveals tomorrow. Oh, that was not. Name reveal is out. Cool.
Yeah, I have 2 links. I put. Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
Are you gonna watch it?
Let me click it real quick. Ooh, Affliction. Cool video. Also, is that ritual? That looked like a ritual.
It kind of did look like a ritual, didn't it? People are talking about it being. Oh, what was it? Was it Ultimatum they were talking about?
Well, if it's Affliction, I wonder if it's affecting like multiple things then. Like maybe it's doing something to other things within the game, like other league mechanics.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I loved because
he like does something to it and then disappears. Right. Also, can they just speak English so I know what he's saying? Because now he could have been telling me like, oh, you want to come here and do this and get the stuff. But instead he just mumbles and I don't know what he's saying. Mm-hmm. It also looked like he just looked at the
subtitles. Camera. Oh, what? That was cool though. How
it was cool.
But like in a creepy, twisted, twitching bug way. Looked at the camera.
When's it coming out?
So the reveal is November 30th.
Okay.
That's November a Thursday, 30th, so that's good for us.
2 weeks, less than 2 weeks.
And then the release, that's not right. Is December 11?
No, December 8th, right. It says launch date. You'll be able to play December expansion for free on December 8th on PC and 13th on Xbox and PlayStation.
Wonder where I got December 11th.
On the 8th? Right. Oh, okay.
Why? What's the 8th for you?
My daughter's birthday. And she's having a sleepover, and it's a Friday when we record. So, which it normally is, but that's fine. And then we're having a Christmas party on the 9th, so can't even really play much then. You're coming to that? Are you guys coming to that?
I didn't know about it.
God damn it, Tyler, read your messages. I sent you a thing. We're having a Christmas party on December 9th.
When? When did you send it?
I sent it into the party group. Or maybe you're not even in that one, because you leave things and then don't leave things. Let's see. Is Tyler in here? Your wife is, you're not. Is there another one?
I'm in the one that's in the community we have.
Games night planning? Is that one? Is that the one that I should have put it in? Hold on, who's in this one?
The one that's in Friendship Forever.
Oh, but okay, hold on. I'm adding it to that one now too. I'm just gonna caption it with thanks. And I'm gonna tag you in it.
Why are you guys in both? My wife's in that too, like all these groups.
And I don't leave things. I don't care. Just whatever. Anyway, I posted it now. It's in there. So anyway, December 9th, we're doing a Christmas party in the evening. But December 8th, that's cool that it launches then. We have my daughter's birthday and she's having her first sleepover birthday, which she is like ecstatic about. And the gift though that we got her is going to be interesting for when we have to record on the 8th. Because they will be playing in the playroom, which is up and back from me. Okay. And I'm trying to think when this comes out. Christine always asks, she's like, hey, can I listen to your podcast with the kids in the car? I'm like, no, don't do that. I don't know what I say.
I don't know what I say. Okay.
We got her I think if any of my kids listen to this that are older, just keep your yap shut. But we got her a karaoke machine because she's always wanted one. So it like hooks up to the TV and it's got multiple mics and lights and blah, blah, blah. And so they're going to be loud. Her and her little.
This is Maya, I assume.
Sophia.
Oh, it is Sophia. Okay.
Yeah. So she's turning 9 and she is they're going to be singing Away on Friday night. So yeah, but that's fun.
That'll be great.
Affliction comes out on the 8th. Cool. Hey, we were almost like bang on for what we figured dates wise then.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they probably said it and then we were forgot and then
No,
we
I think they heard us and they were like, yeah, it makes sense, guys.
Yeah, let's do that. Man, those FE guys. Oh,
how do they do it every time?
I hope they don't start asking for money.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So December 8th it comes out, and I'm going to guess, I wonder if they're going to try and, I think they're still going with a 4-month plan. I think they're going to stick with that till PoE 2. I actually kind of hope they do.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed
that's
it.
interesting though, because I wonder if that was scheduled or planned, because I still remember Chris's comments saying, I know exactly how many leagues there are until PoE 2.
Can we just assume that he's probably full of shit though? I mean, you could say that.
Well, stuff can easily change too. You can easily just cut 2 leagues and it wouldn't be a problem. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know that maybe he does. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this all has lined up very perfectly for them. And I feel like for them leading into PoE 2, we're going to see a pretty similar schedule to what we saw this last year, but maybe not.
So completely pointless assumptions and guesses.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first impression of Affliction? Like, what's like the thing you think it's going to do to the game?
Well, at first because I just saw it, I saw the ritual tree, but it wouldn't make sense to be only affecting one league mechanic. I mean, I would love it because I really like ritual. So to see ritual see some weird change would be kind of fun. But the idea of affliction makes it seem like it could affect more than just one league mechanic, which would be cool. I don't know what it does, or like there's not much, because the thing disappears, so it's almost like it infects or afflicts whatever the mechanic is, and then disappears. So I don't know. I'm curious if he's like that character is a boss, or is that like another? What were some of the ones that were? I guess none of them were kind of your buddy. Well, no, it wouldn't be your buddy, right? If they're afflicting stuff, he didn't look like a buddy.
Maybe just wherever it is that you are going, all of a sudden you see the guy and he's like, ha, and he explodes into bugs, and then whatever mechanic you're close to gets afflicted.
But then does that mean that, like, if that's true, let's say that's true, that could mean you don't see this league mechanic for quite a while into the game. I mean, if you think about league mechanics now, it's kind of funny because you get to Act 6 and it's like, here's everything.
Everything that doesn't just unlock in maps.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, you want to try and clear this zone, the coast? Hey, here's all of the things you'll see later in that one zone.
I got the impression, and I don't know why, but I got the impression that it's a time-based mechanic. Like it's
really
something like we'll have to do something before we or something else is fully afflicted.
Oh, I hope not. I feel like they've learned their lesson.
For some reason, that's the impression that I got. There's bug stuff. Something's happening. He's chanting. It's a build up, and then
I feel like they haven't done too many time-based type things for quite a long time. Like I feel like they've kind of figured out that mechanic side of things aren't people's favorite, at least not ours. I mean, I don't want to speak for other people because maybe people do like that, but I do feel like a lot of people aren't a huge fan of time-based.
Well, it does immediately go against the idea of theory crafting. When you force people into a time frame, you limit theory crafting into, okay, I have to be able to do this much damage and to accomplish this. So you can only go, you're just funneling creative ideas. But hopefully the reason that GGG hasn't done a lot of timed content is because of what you've said, and they realize that from our opinion, it's not the best for the game. And hopefully it's not just them coming up with ideas and they just happen to not be time-based. Then watch, they're going to be like, we haven't done something time-based in a really long time. I think it's time. Bring it back.
Yeah, I feel like they don't. And the thing with time-based too is anything time-based that they've done in the past has been just garbage when you're leveling. When you're running through the axe, any time-based mechanic has been garbage. You never have enough damage. You're never good enough to actually take on whatever that timed function is. So I would be surprised if they went time-based. What would be cool though is when you talk affliction and we saw it doing that thing, wouldn't it be cool if there was some way that it affected the Atlas tree, like the Atlas passive? Not the Atlas tree, sorry, the Atlas passive. The only problem though is you don't want something that doesn't kick in until you're in maps. So whatever that balance is, but it would be fun to see something afflict the Atlas.
I'm totally fine with that.
It's not good for their game though. It's not good for it's not good for if you have new people coming in or whatever, or coming back to not experience whatever the league mechanic is until you're in maps. I can't imagine that would be something they would ever want to do. You want somebody to be able to interact with this new mechanic right away or as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
So it would be cool to see something though that did somehow down the road affect the Atlas passives, kind of similar to how we used to see like, you know, Shaper and Elder infecting things. But
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember with Scourge, I didn't get the league mechanic while I was going through the leveling process.
What was Scourge again? What did you do in that one?
That was the one that's now turned into, I think is it Beyond or... Yeah, I think it's Beyond Demons, but Scourge was the one where you like stabbed your heart and then you went into like the
and you had that
realm.
Little thing on you, right? Yeah, and
there was a timer for how long you were in the alternate reality killing monsters and stuff.
Yep.
The NPC didn't spawn for me at the beginning. There was issues with the guy spawning, so that was awesome. Didn't get to experience Scourge while leveling. It's all right.
Like,
after
love
they
Scourge.
patched it, then it seems normal. it seems great. But yeah, no, I hear you. I miss that kind of stuff too. The interaction with the Atlas, something that's mapping based. That'd be pretty cool. But it seems smaller than that. Just with like when you add an NPC,
it has to be big though. Whatever they've done, they talked about that. This is like they made their same goofball things that they said, like anticipated, and we've been working on this, and it's a big deal.
Oh, sure. But there's a bit, yes, but I think there's going to be a big difference between the big changes that happen to the core game and then the league mechanic.
Wait, that's actually true. Like, this is
just telling us what the league mechanic.
But isn't this also? Shouldn't this also? We're seeing our new end game with this one too. We should.
That's our yours and my expectation. Yes, this is the annual thing. So I doubt that they'll have a big league if they're doing big core changes.
Right. I wonder if they'll correlate though in some way where the league. I mean, you have to be careful because whatever they do if they do come out with something new, which I'm anticipating they will, given that we know the core packs are gone or leaving, so there will be new core packs. So you know there's something changing at the core, probably, hopefully, end game. It's not like they can really make the league mechanics super integrated into that because it's not always core. So, that's actually I'm actually more excited now for actually just the November 30th thing than necessarily Affliction, because I forgot that we were at that point in time where we should see something new core game wise.
I think it would be wise for them to have planned to do their kind of not end game revamp, but like that big end game modification or switch or upgrade for now, just in case something happens with Path of Exile 2. If you don't do your end game upgrade now, and then something happens with Path of Exile 2, and again, we're assuming Path of Exile 2 is coming out November, December next year. That's that's what you and I have discussed.
That's what I think,
If that's happening and that gets delayed, you don't make another end game change to Path of Exile 1 shortly before another release. Right. Yeah. So like if you do it now, because then if there's a delay, the end game's still only a year old, right? And then Path of Exile gets delayed for another quarter or whatever it is. Whereas if you don't do it now, then you have a big end game change closer to the Path of Exile 2 release. But I don't know. Like, I think what GGG will do when Path of Exile 2 comes out is Path of Exile 2 will come out. And I think that'll be the major focus for the company. In Path of Exile 1, I don't know. What would you do? Would you, how do I word this? Would you completely separate the two games at that point? Like, would you come out with a big endgame expansion for Path of Exile 1 when Path of Exile 2 comes out, pretending that they're separate games? Or they are separate games, but with, there's going to be people that only want to play Path of Exile 1 for whatever the reasons are. Do you just, now Path of Exile 1's a separate game, we don't care about Path of Exile 2, this is what we're doing in Path of Exile 1, it's going to be big, and we want to do something big.
Opinion?
Yeah, if you were GGG.
So if I was GGG, and I know people probably won't necessarily like this, but I would say fuck PoE 1. I would let PoE 1 disappear. I would not be putting effort into an old game. I don't care that people think that they want to play that style of game or they don't like.
Are you talking forever or just upon launch?
No, forever. I think the fact that they're trying to maintain two games is silly. So if I would hope I would really, really hope that whatever they decide to do, however they decide to manage this going forward, it does not affect the quality and the innovativeness and the excitement behind PoE 2, because they have to somehow maintain PoE 1. I will never, ever, ever, I don't see myself. I mean, I may listen back to this in a year and think differently, or 2 years and think differently. I don't think I will ever touch PoE 1 once 2's out. It's a new game. I have no interest in playing the new game. I mean, the only way it happens is if GGG completely shit the bed and they pull a Diablo 3, right? And it's like, well, man, Diablo 2 was so much more fun and engaging and blah, blah, blah. I don't see that happening. So my personal hope is that I don't care what they do with PoE 1, but I don't want it to affect the innovative, the creativeness, the newness, the excitement, the bigness of PoE 2.
Sure. So how about, though, knowing the knowledge that they are keeping Path of Exile 1 and they are trying to maintain it, how would you do Path of Exile 1 around Path of Exile 2's release?
Well, again, I kind of, if I'm them and I've already said I'm keeping Path of Exile 1, Path of Exile 1 becomes standard, and this is the finished product. By the end of next year, this coming year, whatever state Path of Exile 1 exists, that's it. There's your game. Go play it standard. It never ever changes. We're not going to update it. I know that's not what's going to happen. I understand that I'm not really fully answering your question, but that would be my hope,
you would choose to do.
They don't put any effort into PoE 1, because I want to see 100% effort go into PoE 2. So, I mean, I guess you could argue that, it'd be really cool if they somehow did updates and end game, blah, blah, blah. But they're supposed to be two completely different games at two different timelines. So I don't understand how they're supposed. That's why I've never quite got the idea of them running two games and continuing to update it. Like, there's a time difference between the two. So that means end game is different in both of them. So you can't honestly be planning to come out with a new end game or new massive core for PoE 1 and 2 every year. I think that's insane.
Well, they just have to double their company.
Yeah, but we know that's not happening. So
right.
I don't know. I don't actually really care, as long as whatever they do with PoE 1 does not feel like it had an effect on PoE 2, in the sense that they're not
quality.
I mean, we would never know, really.
Time allocation.
Quality, sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Do you have a thought or preference towards that?
I don't know, because I think over time, if you insisted on keeping Path of Exile 1, and let's say the Path of Exile 1 and 2 numbers over time are equal, right, with how they do, let's just pretend that's going to be the case. I think you don't do anything for Path of Exile 1 that's any different than your usual when Path of Exile 2 comes out. It's just the next expansion, whatever it is. No end game change, right? Just, you're not doing things half-heartedly, but you're only giving them the next expansion.
Do you think they're doing the same expansion then for both? Like, when the PoE 2 expansion comes out, there's also a PoE 1.
I think
when I say expansion, I just mean a league. Right?
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
That'll probably be the hope and the intent, but I don't think that'll actually happen in the long run once things actually start happening, because then you're limiting Path of Exile. It's like having, then you're limiting Path of Exile 2 to meet Path of Exile 1's restrictions, and that's the complete opposite reason that they're making Path of Exile 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So as much as I think that would be fun for the company to try and accomplish, I don't think it'll happen, especially because, and I really hope they keep remembering this, but they've decided to put their game on a console, and that's not an upgradable option for people. They are stuck with those restrictions. Any console development company is stuck with the console's restrictions for hardware until a company that has no concern for them, like Microsoft and Sony, do not care about grinding gear games or anything like that. Until they come out with their next console, those are the restrictions that company has to abide by, right? If they want their game to work, and the game is your best marketing tool in itself. So I don't think in the long run that'll happen, but I think what they'll do with Path of Exile 1 is they'll just keep the normal expansions coming out, and then they won't make anything big for Path of Exile 1 when Path of Exile 2 comes out. But then after Path of Exile 2 has had its next league, then I think they'll do individual hype for Path of Exile 1 and 2. I think it would be horrible for the company to include, like, let's say, we're coming up to this live stream on November 30th, I think it is, right? Now, let's say we're 2 years into the future, Path of Exile 2 is out and Path of Exile 1. I think it would be horrible for the company. In my opinion, I don't think it would be smart marketing to include hype for both games in the same live stream.
I don't think they should be talking about Path of Exile 1 ever again after PoE 2 is out. Can you imagine?
I kind of agree.
Me, I will be just so upset if they start doing different leagues and all of a sudden it's like, man, that is a really great idea that's coming out to Path of Exile 1 and it doesn't exist in Path of Exile 2. I don't want to go and play the older game when 2's out. I know that there's people that stand on both sides of that, and I'm not trying to like put down some people's feelings towards it, but the fact is it's a brand new game. I want to be excited about the new game. It would bother me a little bit if they were like, hey, here's a new league and it's only on PoE 1. That would bug me a bit. So
yeah, I mean, I think hopefully in that case, though, anything that's really rad in Path of Exile 1 would make its way to Path of Exile 2.
But as long as the other way around. You got to start at PoE 2 and let that shit just slide into PoE 1. Not the other way around. But if they're going to be separate games, you're going to have, like, for example, right now, Jonathan does no, like he was excited about flasks working a certain way, right? And then he was like, that's how disconnected he's been from PoE 1. And then we, you know, a community member's like, well, that's actually the way that it is. So, you know, if they're going to continue that format going forward where there's just dedicated Path of Exile 1 and 2 teams, then, you know, a cool idea could come up in Path of Exile 1 that wasn't in Path of Exile 2. But currently, Octavian was telling us that he tests both back and forth. Like they're not dedicated to one or the other at the moment. He's not anyway, like the QA team. So we'll see how it goes. But as long as I feel like, and again, this is just two dudes talking to each other.
You can tell Justin's been on social media lately because he's
I'm not speaking for anyone else. This is just me talking to my buddy.
He's already tempering the expectations.
I just want to see the focus be on PoE 2. I want to see when PoE 2 comes out. I want to talk about PoE 2. We've talked about this leading up to PoE 2's release and all, even leading up to the ExileCon 2, that I was kind of tired of talking about Path of Exile 2. Like, I want to talk about Path of Exile 2 when Path of Exile 2's out. Well, I can promise you when Path of Exile 2's out, I have no interest in talking about Path of Exile 1.
You know, that's true. Our listeners are going to have to appreciate Path of Exile 2 only content. The only time I'll be bringing up Path of Exile 1 is when I'm like, oh man, I can't believe they didn't fix this, or I totally don't miss this. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that I'm excited about Path of Exile 2 are the hopes of getting rid of the frustrating things that bother me about PoE 1. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, we're talking about a name reveal announcement, and it leads us straight into Path of Exile 2 talk. But that's kind of the state.
That's the nature of the game right now.
It is. The Path of Exile 2 is coming, and you know that everything they're doing is leading towards it. I mean,
something to do
we
with
were
it.
talking about this back when Heist came out, when they introduced those cool new dialogue boxes when they were split, you know, like the dialogue on the left and the user interaction on the right. And BK emphasized that again the last time or 2 times ago when she was on, you know, like it's all stuff that they're hoping to incorporate.
Getting ready.
Yeah. And so, you know, especially when you and I assume we're a year away from Path of Exile 2's release. And again, Justin and I are just basing this off of, I forget if it's on smarts or off mic comment. Yeah, we're smarts. But
it lines up with the dates that they've kind of talked about with regards to the beta, how long Jonathan said the beta was expected to be, but that they'd be willing to go a little bit longer if they need to. When you run all that stuff together and then look at how they planned things out before, it seems like that would line them up perfectly to have a December release of PoE 2.
That's why they
Savants, that's what they call us.
In the past, Chris and Jonathan have mentioned in their older interviews that the reason that they do their end game changes is because that's what gets the most attention, that gets what's the most return. And
it's about money.
They always do that around Christmas time.
Yep,
that's smart. The best time financially for them to do any big release. And so that's typically because they only had one game. Their big release was the what?
I'm just laughing at that they do it at that time. And in my head, my response to you is going to be like, and it's just perfect because that's when people go on vacation. We give them their time off.
Oh, you shut your
what
face.
What league was that? I don't remember what league that was.
It's every league. It was every league until like the last year.
There was one in particular, though, that came out like right around Christmas time.
Yeah, it was broken on console.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't.
It was the one that your
was it Ritual?
You couldn't play it. like your one build that does like attack backs or whatever that one was called,
it was
wasn't working.
Yeah, it was the gladiator that was all about the trigger skills and the counter attack skills.
I don't remember what league it was. It didn't get fixed for a while.
No, it took over a month for them to fix it, and it ended up not being it was just because you couldn't channel Cyclone, that would just crash the game. And
anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up, but I was just laughing at the idea of the December releases because it does make sense financially for them. It also makes sense for most people. It's a good time to take time off. You're leading up into what's typically a holiday time anyway. But yeah, it is a little tough because they got to make sure it comes out in pretty good state, which they have been good about, I would say, for the last two. At least for sure the last year. Last year was great.
It used to be something that I was very nervous about, all their December releases, because there'd be a whole bunch of crap that they
need to have time off. It's fair.
Of course they do, but it's so stupid to have like quality be. It used to be that quality was so low on their priority list, and then you take time off after January. Right, exactly. It was stupid. And then, of course, what was it? Heist, that where the community had enough with the low quality releases. GGG apologized. And again, we've said this 100 times. They've done a fantastic job at maintaining that. They've done a very good job with the releases. Yes, there's glitches. That happens with every release. Not trying to sugarcoat it, but
nothing like it was.
Compared to what the things were before, they've been much, much better. And so hopefully that continues for Path of Exile too. And but yeah, anyway, my point was it's funny that the name release gets us talking about PoE 2, but that's just where we're at. Everything about it now is
every league leads up to that.
It does. And there's going to be something. It's that extra stuff they're adding before the beta comes out. I'm still nervous about them. I'm disappointed with them having the idea of adding PoE 1 league mechanics into PoE 2. I was hoping they would start fresh and only add league mechanics.
Some of them are worthwhile adding.
Well, Alva and Blight are guaranteed. Is that what he said?
No, so Excursion and it was a Delve.
Excursion
is Alva, right?
Oh, well, what's the bombs exploding and monsters coming out of the ground? Expedition, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, Excursion and Delve are the two that Jonathan really likes. I think it's fine to include some stuff if it makes sense. I think the idea of starting from scratch is a bit much when you're also remaking an entirely new game. So I don't mind some mechanics coming back.
The new game is going to be enough for people for the first league anyway, 3 or 4 months, whatever they make it. And then you come out with a new league.
I think it's kind of weird to include stuff that takes you out of like Delve is a weird one to me because Delve is like its own game within the game. So it's a little weird.
The same thing. Takes you completely
at the temple,
out.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, even when you're in the maps, you leave the map 3 times.
Okay, that's not the same as Delve though. Like Delve, you're creating this whole other world. So that's what I mean when it's like its own different thing. But I think I don't mind if they bring back some mechanics as long as it feels like that's not all you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, wow, the PoE 2 game is new, but it's just all PoE 1 mechanics. I really would like to see some new stuff that we haven't seen before. But
yeah, I really hope that's far back on their priority list. Like some of the stuff, I think something like Beyond or Delirium, that kind of stuff, you know, when I just wish it would all be fresh.
Do you think there's conversations right now leading up to new league mechanics where they're like, I love that idea. We can't do it. Let's save it for PoE 2. It's too good. Where they've had an idea of like something, and not because they can't in PoE 1, but because they're like that. We need to save that idea. It's going to be great.
Definitely do. They've always astounded me with their creativity and the fact that now, again, this is with the assumption that Path of Exile is coming out December 2024 or November 2024. So there's 3 or 4 league mechanics after this one. All you need is 3 or 4 ideas. And if you come out with an amazing idea, it's easy to come up with something else in the meantime, especially if you have 3 months to wait. You know what I mean? I think they definitely have done that.
Did you play much PoE this week?
Yeah, but we're already at our hour. That's fine.
Okay, because I'm gonna. Do you want to quickly talk about? Because then I have a question that's about what you just said, and I'm gonna write down that question so I don't forget because I think it's gonna be fun.
No, you ask a question. Go for it.
Okay, if you could look back, like you're GGG. Okay,
I am.
You're Tyler, aka Wrecker of Days, and Chris is your minion, and they look to you for answers.
It feels about right.
But now you're also omnipotent. Okay. So you can go back in time. You can look back. So here's the deal. We're at this current state. We know PoE 2 is coming out in a year because we're right.
Obviously.
If you look back at every single league mechanic in PoE 1, is there a league mechanic that if you think they could take back and save for the launch of PoE 2, is there one that they would that you would think that they would do? Because I have one idea in my head, and it's just because it's relatively fresh and it's one of my favorite leagues ever.
That's difficult for me because there's been some really cool league mechanics that didn't go core, and it's tough for me to remember them.
For me, it's Sentinel. But the problem with Sentinel coming out with PoE 2 is to take that away afterwards would be rough.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, here's your little buddy that's going to run around with you and you get to upgrade it. And then guess what? In 3 or 4 months, it's gone.
Right.
We're used to it with PoE 1. Can you imagine as a bunch of brand new players that come join PoE 2? They're like, what? Where's my buddy?
That's a tough question because when I picture Path of Exile 2, I'm only picturing league mechanics that I remember that suit the game. But league mechanics that I think suit the game aren't necessarily epic. You know what I mean? Like I could see Beyond being very well suited for the gameplay that I've seen Path of Exile 2 in, but that's not special.
No, it's boring.
It's just enemies coming up out of the ground. Same thing with Abyss, but I mean, you throw out where Abyss takes you, and Abyss and Beyond are the same thing, right? Whether it's like, I mean, I guess like if you just replaced Abyss or Beyond with cracks in the ground as opposed to portals, you know, but not a crack you have to follow. Because following a crack in PoE 2, that was the opposite of what Mark told Mathel, right? Like Mathel, when he was in trouble, kept going to new areas, and then it just increased his danger. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, that's not the case. You know what? I don't think you would save it because it's a very simple one, but I think Essence is probably the one that really suits Path of Exile 2 because of just the slower gameplay. Seeing the mods right there, then you start this big boss fight, obviously not with all the like crazy skills that happen without any cast time or any like user knowledge, but
I think Essence comes over for sure. I think you'll see Essence in PoE 2 100%.
Stuff like Ultimatum where you can slow down, see the thing, compare the passive tree with the skills on
Crucible?
your weapons. Yes, I think that. Now, how the game interacts with you, like how the mobs interact and how skills interact, of course, that'd be all Path of Exile 2. It wouldn't, you can't, I'm not saying like the exact interaction in Path of Exile 1 is how you want it, but I'm saying the user interaction with the mechanic itself, not with the enemies, is stuff like that. But I can't answer your question specifically and have one that pops into my head dramatically like it sounds like you do. What's yours?
It would be Sentinel. I'm just sorry. I'm getting
you did
message from my kid. What the is he talking about? Yeah, it would be Sentinel for me. I just think because it was such a successful league for them and people have loved it since then, that to have something that cool, but I don't like the idea of them coming out with a league mechanic right off the bat that they're like, oh yeah, yoink.
Right.
That was fun, but you don't get to keep it.
Yeah. I think for me, anything it slows the user down, they can take a sec, study the interaction, and then something big happens. To me, that suits what I've seen in Path of Exile 2 so far. Also,
and then hopefully explodes after you kill it.
Yes, that deals damage. Yes, definitely a non-death effect that deals damage.
Mm-hmm. I don't even care if I can see it. It's fine.
I hate you. Before we sign off, I have a question. We can do this next week, but Nate M on Discord, one of our patrons, came up with a kind of a cool idea, and it coincides directly into what your question just was. But Nate M would be curious to have us now. I guess there's a couple different ways we can rank it, but they would love for us to rank the league mechanics in a list, worst to best, best to worst. That's how I translated it. And so,
hold on, I'm just reading the thing. Did you copy this word for word, or were you just putting this?
Copied it word for word. And so,
I'd love for you guys to rank the league mechanics in a tier list. Oh, like maybe one of the tier lists you see online. They have things where you call their like S, A, B, C, D, and you go like, you can take this. I wonder if there is one online for Path of Exile. I'll look. I know what he's talking about.
Oh, I thought it was just like ranking them from like favorite to least favorite.
No, the idea is you go, if you've got like, say these 5 tiers where S is top tier, right? That's the best ever. And then you've got A, B, C, D. then you go, okay, so where would
well,
you
then
put?
if we're doing that, it has to go down to E because E is in Dark Souls.
Okay, it will go from S to E.
Excellent. Okay. And are we
I'll see if I
talking
can find
league
one.
mechanics, like leagues, or are we
It
just
would have to
talking
be just leagues.
or are we just talking mechanics that are in the game?
No, Jesus, we'd be here
No,
all day.
like league
Just
mechanics that
leagues.
have gone core.
How about we just do leagues
Okay.
themselves? Yeah, we'll find
All
out. Maybe after dark, or maybe a future episode. The problem is we're right at that point now where, what are we? November 17th. So we've got one more chill week, and then it gets.
It won't be chill though. We'll have spoilers or not teasers.
It's teasers leading up to it. So
we'll figure it out.
maybe if I can find a way to do it, and I've had something to drink, maybe we'll find a after dark. We'll do that. That's just fun. That would be fun to go through them.
Well, we'd have to go.
But
We'd have to
also-
do it offline. We can't do that live. Like we can read
Live.
it live.
Do it live. Age of Empires 2. Age of Empires came out with a new expansion, so sometimes we just got stuff to do.
Stuff and things. It'll be good.
Stuff and things.
Oh
Yeah.
man, the Japanese empire is probably
I think they're
replacing the
gonna be my-
Mongols. Go for. We can be the same empire.
I don't like being the same.
I
It's
know you
weird.
don't, but that's your problem.
I know it is my problem.
What were you going to say about the Japanese?
I think I'm going to try them more.
Good.
Yeah.
Keep
But then
trying
you said
them.
they're your favorite. I know. Then I got to think about something. I'll tell you what I don't like is the new French. I thought a hero would be fun, but don't make me press buttons.
Oh,
I'm
they'll
an
change
idiot.
all that.
I'm playing a friggin'. What are they called? What are these things called? What's that style of game called? The RTS?
Yes.
I don't
Real-time
know.
strategy.
Yeah, but also not real time. I don't want to press buttons while I'm attacking to make my hero do moves.
She's
Like,
the ultimate micromanagement.
yeah, give me an auto button. You know, like right click it and it will just like spin, and it just cast it when it's ready. I don't care. I'm good with that. Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up then. Forever Exiled 215. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Don't forget to hit that 5-star button on the Spotify and the Apple because it makes us feel special. Patrons will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week in 216. If you're looking for more information, you'll find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord you should be a part of. Come in and say hi. And patrons, other ways to support the podcast, you will find them down below as well as on foreverexiled.com. Goodbye.
I forgot what I was going to say.
How am I going to keep that pause?
Gotta write that down.